Hi, everybody. I'm Harshini and I'm a little nervous. I This is the first time I'm recording a podcast, and it is nerve-wracking. Um, Not because I'm here to, perform. I'm not. I'm here to share my learnings and my, journey that I've very, very difficultly and very I actually can't believe I've made it here this far. I'm 30 years old now, and it's a miracle that I'm alive. And in addition to that miracle of me being alive, it's truly a miracle that I am the way I chose to become. And I learned a lot along the way. A lot of what hurts, a lot of what, we all as individuals crave for, what we all need, like when you are deprived of so many things that are basic human needs. I guess it's just something that comes naturally is that, oh, I wish this was done differently, so I would have felt a certain way. And I think that is the learning that I've had. And one biggest thing, I think my biggest teacher of my entire life was life. Not life as a timeline, but life as life of all forms and life itself. When I walk outside and I see an eagle, I pause and I'm just like, what a majestic creature. I wonder how it could, people know about the like biology of an eagle, right? Like, yeah, it can fly so high because blah, 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 blah. For me, every being has its internal sense of self. And that is the most interesting part for me. And when I look at an eagle, I don't think, what about its body shape or structure makes it fly so high and doesn't have to flap its wings once. I wonder, how can an eagle know that it doesn't have to flap its wings so hard? How does it believe internally that I got this? And one day, it's really interesting. I was walking with my dog, Toffee. This was weeks or months before I lost my mobility. And I saw an eagle fly so high, I always pause. And this time I looked up and I was like, hi, an eagle, such a majestic creature. I wonder how it can just fly so high without even having to flap its wings, no matter the chaos around it. And inside, I had an answer. I don't know how I got the answer. It was just a knowing that just came to me that moment as I looked up at the eagle and I heard this from within myself that an eagle can fly so high because within itself it has found its balance within its core. And even when there is a lot of chaos externally, no matter the wind, no matter the direction, the core might, move a little bit, but it always knows how to rebalance itself. And once you've found that stability in your core, it doesn't, it believes in its core that it will find that stability again. So the eagle flies so high because it believes in the stability of its core, because it's found that stability. And no matter what shakes it externally, the core finds its way back to stability. So the eagle doesn't have to flap its wings so hard because it's not going through the wind. It's riding the wind. It doesn't have to go through a storm. It finds its way and navigates through a storm. It flies so high, soars so high, because it knows no matter what, it'll find itself in stability. And when I got that answer from within, I just paused and I couldn't move for a second. I was just kind of like frozen, but in a way that was warm from the inside. It was that awe, it was that wonder, it was just that wow. Like, first of all, I was like, oh my God, did that come from within me? Like, how did that happen? Right? So there's that awe from that. And then just looking at that majestic eagle and just being there and just witnessing it and just breathing in that, knowing that it believes, therefore it does. There are a lot of such learnings I've had from life itself, life of all forms. Sometimes from a squirrel, sometimes from, ants, sometimes from dogs, sometimes from hummingbirds. I'll tell you all about them later. They'll all be shared, because one thing I realized is not a lot of people have found space within them to pause and absorb the wisdom that's around. Not because they don't want to, not because they don't have the time, it's because we all were taught different things, you know. Keep going. Focus on yourself. You gotta make it here in time, you know. Don't pause if you're outside walking. Every one of us walks so fast with intention of getting somewhere else. So being outside is just a transition period, you know? It's not somehow a time of learning, time of observing, a time of witnessing. And I don't know how I was able to find that within me. Maybe because I didn't have friends since I was a child, that I kept looking at ants, kept looking at bees, kept looking at birds, trees. And over time, I realized, even when I did have friends, that there's a part of me that always knows time outside, time even within our lives is not something to rush past, something to witness. And I want to talk about the word witnessing with you guys later, because I've been thinking about it, and it's something that I really, really, really have learned that many few of us witness. And today I checked in with my body. Actually, I woke up around 8:45 something, and my body was like, I'm ready. I want to record a podcast. So here I am in the same clothes I used to sleep, and I have a small, fluffy, gray toy. It's a kitten, I think. It's a squishmallow, very mini squishmallow that I have named Zen, Zen, and I also call him Xena. And he is a very small gray kitty with big yellow eye circle and big black eyes. I'm showing you guys this little guy. Zen, 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 Zen. And I got him today to hold. As I mentioned, I was nervous to start. And Zen is a fluffy, sweet presence that reminds me that I found that stable core within me. And I'm here to share, not to perform. So I think I don't think I'm nervous anymore. I feel ready. I feel peaceful. I have my hand on my heart, taking a deep breath. And the first feeling I have is peace. So, do you want to dive into the topic of like what I want to talk about in the first place today? Actually, I don't have a script. I decided that I don't want to use a script because then it becomes performance, and I am not a performer. I don't want to be a performer. I have been a performer in a sense of dance, in a sense of life itself, all my life, and I no longer identify as a performer. So here I am, just another human being, just another person who you would meet or see walking across, I don't know, looking at a tree while you're walking by. And I'm just here. So, what do I want to talk about? I recently had this idea of like, I actually had a cousin text me, Instagram reel, I think, talking about people being stuck in the past, or, don't be stuck in the past, you know, uh, keep moving towards the future, etc., etc., move towards your goal, past, don't blame the past, etc., etc. Just had to take a sip of water. And when I looked at that reel, a kind of rage came inside me. And I'm not a very rageful person. I'm not aggressive. I'm very, very understanding and very empathetic. But this time, it was a rage that was looking at someone talk about, first of all, there were two layers to it. One was a person who had just randomly, that person just probably wanted to make a video that would be viral, right? Um, so it doesn't matter what they are talking about, as long as it's controversial, it'll make views. Second was that my cousin felt that it was going to communicate something to me. And there was no message, there was no written description, nothing, just a link. I didn't respond to that. Because that made me realize that not all people understand what it's like to work on your garden. And that is when I started picturing this the way I do now. When we're all, you know, since we are born as children, we didn't have a choice. Whatever was around us, whatever we were told, we absorbed it all. If you think of a garden, just very fertile, rich, and ready to grow anything and everything. There were so many seeds that were planted in our garden, and every one of them kept growing. Some of them were watered significantly more, saying, put on a smile. And we kept putting on a smile, You're not doing enough. And that grew up to be a big, significantly strong tree. Everything we were taught, everything we were told from people around us, our caregivers, our neighbors, our school, our friends, our every environmental factor that was part of our nurture planted seeds that we kept growing, because that was what was so beautiful about our garden when we were born, is it was rich and fertile, and it would grow anything and everything that was placed. All it needed to do was to have a seed planted. And well, after we grew up to be adults, we still carry those plants and trees and vines and, every kind that we had no choice in planting in our garden. As children, what we were told, what we were taught, all landed in our garden. And as an adult, it is really something that we all carry forward, even if we don't acknowledge or don't see it that way. We might think, I used to see myself in the mirror and would see a very dark-skinned person. And I would be like, oh my God, so dark. I hated my skin tone. I don't anymore. I love my body. I love my body significantly, because I didn't have a choice. When someone planted the seed that skin tone equals beauty and dark skin is not beautiful. And it grew. It grew so significantly that anytime I saw myself in the mirror, or anytime I held hands of my partner, who is lighter skin than me, I would look at that and be like, oh God. And once I recognized that these were all plants that were in my garden, I decided to clean up my garden. And here's the thing about cleaning up our garden. It is not easy. It is not pulling a weed out and throwing it out, because what might actually be 1 foot out on the surface might be 5 feet deep underground. And when a plant, a tree, anything that's in our garden is toxic, is a poisonous plant, it doesn't have to, even if it's in a corner that you would see and be like, well, it's in a corner, it's not harming anything. Let it be. The thing about poisonous plants is that in our garden, there are beautiful and healthy and incredibly joyful and soulful plants that might be under the surface being strangled by the plants that carry poison. And so it's really important to acknowledge what we carry, what we are growing in our garden. And even after acknowledgement and just identifying what are poisonous and what are healthy, what give you breath and what take away that breath. Pulling them out, pulling the harmful ones out, often requires us to understand their roots. Because you can't put away a plant and on the surface and think it's gone. Because it's not. It's still strangling or, spreading poison underneath the surface to all throughout your garden. That's why I went to therapy. I went to therapy, and as I understood more and more roots of, actually, I don't think I worked on therapy to pull out any roots. I was just trying to understand roots of all of my plants, the healthy, the unhealthy, everything. I just wanted to understand the roots. And once I started digging, is when you understand roots, don't we? We dig and dig and dig until we find the last source point, last living bit of that plant, the depth of the root. when you see that depth of a root, is when I think we realize the harm it's been doing. And that is a moment that I've had because I've carried significantly poisonous plants everywhere, and I don't know how I was the person I was to everybody, yet causing myself significant harm inside. Not just physically, just emotionally. Imagine a person holding a partner's hand and thinking, God, that's disgusting. I'm not beautiful. Look at that hand. Look at that skin. Beliefs that we carry inward might not always show up outward to the people that we interact with or talk to. That's because we were all told to perform, weren't we? And now I don't want to perform. And that means I get to be the me that I am. That means I have a responsibility to myself to look at my own garden and understand it so that I am not spreading air that is basically poisoning my own self or spreading seeds that poison others' gardens around me. And I want to clarify that sentence because as I said it, I realized something, that there are a lot of people in this world, I'll tell you, that told us be a good neighbor, be a good person, because others need a good person, right? We wanted to be there for other person, cause no harm, do no harm. And somehow all of that was external. So when I said it's our responsibility to make sure that we do not spread the seeds of poison to our neighbors, other gardens, that actually should never be why you're cleaning up your garden. It should be a result of what you've done, but not the intent of what you do. Intention needs to be internal. It always does. Cause no harm, do no harm sounds wonderful. Yes, I don't want to cause harm. No, I don't want to do harm. Not even to myself. And maybe if I cause no harm to myself, do no harm to myself, I will reflect the same values to everybody around me. Why don't we talk about that? Why don't we talk about why it is important for us to be fully ourselves. And when we are good to ourselves, we reflect that to the world around us. I don't want to be a good neighbor. I want to be a good me. That is my intention. The result might be that will be a good neighbor, but that's not my intention. When intention is outward, it becomes a performance. And I don't like performing, do you? It's very stressful. I was nervous when I started recording this podcast segment, right? Why? Because even within me, I had this sense of, am I going to be good? Will I be a good speaker? Do I have something good to say? And I think that's the reason why I didn't want to step into the topic right away, because I knew if I did, that would be a performance. That would not be me. And the intention is always inward, not outward. So when I say, I am here to express myself and my learnings with the world, that is my performance, performance mask that we all wear being taken away. When we put on a performance, my performance mask would have been the intention that I want to make a good podcast segment. I don't want to make mistakes. I want to get the viewers in right away. I want to open with the hook. I want to start with the this. I want to start with the that. I don't wanna, because I don't want intentions that are external. I want a garden that is rich, not because I want it to look pretty for others, but because I want to be able to breathe air that makes me feel free. I want to breathe fully and deeply and feel free. So, yes, I was looking into my past, not because I was stuck in my past, not because I was, trying to find blame, trying to find a cause and call myself a victim. I was looking into my past to understand my plants that were in my garden so that I knew which ones needed to stay, which ones needed to go, and work on removing those toxic plants from my garden to the deepest root so that they never strangle my plants that nurture me and give me breath. And here's the most beautiful thing. It is the hardest thing I've ever done. And I have been through horrors that can't even be imagined. and I've dealt with a lot. But to me, the hardest thing was to look at my garden and say, these need to come off. So, yes, I was digging into my past, not because I wanted to blame anybody. What good is it going to do? But I wanted to understand who planted them so that I understood why they were there in the first place and how they were impacting my life, my relationships, my relationship with my own self. So, yes, I don't want to live in my past. I don't want to live in my future either. People say goals. People say, you need to look at your goals. You need to keep moving forward. Don't look back. Keep going forward. And here's the thing. I don't want to keep moving forward or backward. I don't want to look in any direction but understand where I'm at right now. Because if I don't understand where I'm standing, my current landscape, I cannot move forward because I'll be carrying dirt from this to the next moment because my landscape won't change. That means my future will keep bringing the same landscape all throughout my life. And I want a life that's fulfilling. I want a life that lets me breathe and feel free and be free. So, no, I wasn't stuck in my past. And no, I will not keep walking forward without acknowledging where I'm at. I will pause. I will look at my landscape. I will take care of my garden because I deserve it. I deserve to take care of my garden as it is. As it is. I deserve to choose what goes with me and what has to be taken aside. I deserve to have a right to say, this is mine. This is not mine. And some people might never get it. And some people actually might want to get it, but they don't want to admit to you that they want to know more. They actually want to, because when someone admits that, oh, maybe I didn't understand this well enough, they also need to admit that they might have also built a garden or, carrying and holding a landscape of their own that they have never looked at. And you know what? There's no shame. There's no shame in looking at your garden when you're 40 years old. There's no shame in looking at your garden when you're 60 years old. Because guess what? No matter how long it's been, no matter how much you've carried, no matter what age you are, how, how many plants you have in your garden, it doesn't matter what was. It matters, are you seeing it now? Because it doesn't matter if our, future is, 80 years or 20 years or 10 years or whatever number that is. It matters that we are able to breathe in those years that we have left. And you know what? Even better, I'll give you so much one better. We deserve to breathe now. Right now. So let's build ourselves our gardens. Let's do it. Let's look at our gardens. The ones that maybe we didn't ever look at, the ones that we probably didn't understand or are so full of everything that they're chaotic. Here's a beautiful truth. No matter the chaos, underneath all of it is a very rich, fertile ground that will still grow wonderful plants and trees. They just need to not be poison. They just need to be on a healthy soil. So let's work on those. Let's work on our gardens, because we deserve to. We deserve to look at our own garden and say, this is mine. And it is my responsibility to make space for me to breathe in this garden. And I deserve breath that feels freeing. And it will take work, it will take effort, it will take looking back. Not for any reason but to understand the depth of the root and pulling some of them out causes grief. And it is difficult. And here's what's also difficult. Living our lives with shallow breath. And breath that takes away a little bit of us every single day, every single moment. So that is what I wanted to share with you guys. I'm really grateful that I was able to share that. I really am. And I might not have been perfect because I wasn't trying to be I might not have been perfect pace. I wasn't trying to pace myself a certain way. I might not have had wonderful, no filler words, no this and no that, because this was real, and reality sometimes, actually, reality most times, is quite non-linear. So we got here though, didn't we? We got here. And we'll always make it to where we want to go. It doesn't matter what path we take. Just like we made it here. Even when I didn't have a script, I didn't have a plan, I didn't even get dressed, ready. I am here because I woke up and I wanted to express myself. And you get to express yourself too, because it matters. It matters that you do. It matters that you breathe free. And it matters that you see yourself as someone worthy of that breath. Thank you for listening to me. And truly, thank you for being here, for choosing to witness, choosing to stay, choosing to, give this a try. And if you did feel resonant, if you did feel, somewhat a little bit of connection, a little bit freer than you did before, that is all I need. That is all the result I need. So thank you so much. And again, I have Xena, my gray plush toy. Remember the kitty with yellow eyes and the black big eyeballs? So he's saying bye too. And have a wonderful rest of your day or night. And I will see you guys next time.